Have you ever felt a quiet sense of unease when you hear about a virus you have never encountered before? One of my patients once shared with me that what troubled her most was not the illness itself, but the uncertainty around how it might affect the people she loved. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You are sitting in a familiar place, perhaps at home, listening to someone explain a complicated health topic slowly, with care, and without pressure. That is the spirit of our conversation today. My name is Dr. Evelyn Carter, and for decades, I have cared for older adults and their families. Over the years, I have learned that anxiety often grows from not knowing. When information feels confusing or incomplete, the mind fills in the gaps. Nipah virus is one of those topics that can sound alarming simply because it is unfamiliar. It is rare, but it matters, especially because it can move from animals to humans. That is why it deserves a calm and thoughtful explanation. In simple terms, Nipah virus belongs to a group of illnesses doctors call zoonotic. That means they can pass from animals to people under certain conditions. Doctors pay attention to these viruses not because they are everywhere, but because understanding how they spread helps us protect daily routine and emotional safety. Learning how Nipah virus spreads is not a warning of danger. It is a way to replace confusion with clarity. I know that many seniors do not think only about themselves. You think about your spouse, your children, and sometimes your role as a caregiver. You think about independence and dignity. This video is meant to honor those concerns. It is not here to alarm you. It is here to support you with knowledge that feels steady and respectful. As we continue, I invite you to like this video if it feels helpful, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Senior Health Daily so we can stay connected. In the next part, we will gently explore how Nipah virus spreads from animals to humans, always at a pace that protects your peace of mind. Thank you for spending this time with me. You are always welcome here at Senior Health Daily. What Nipah virus is and how it was discovered. When people first hear the name Nipah virus, it often feels distant, as if it belongs to another place or another time. In my years caring for older adults, I have noticed that unfamiliar illnesses can feel more unsettling than common ones, even when the actual chance of encountering them is low. Understanding begins when we place new information gently into context and allow it to settle without urgency. Nipah virus was identified in the late 1990s during an outbreak of severe illness that caught doctors' attention because of how quickly some people became unwell. What stood out was not how often it appeared, but how serious it could be in certain cases. This led physicians and scientists to study it closely, not out of alarm, but out of responsibility. Medicine pays attention to patterns, especially when an illness behaves differently than expected. From a scientific standpoint, Nipah virus belongs to a family of viruses that can affect the nervous system. That matters deeply for older adults, because the brain supports memory, balance, mood, and independence. Over the years, I have worked closely with patients living with cognitive changes, and I have learned to respect anything that may influence brain health, even indirectly. Understanding how a virus behaves helps doctors prepare thoughtful care rather than react in haste. We also live in a world where people, animals, and environments are more connected than ever. Travel, farming, caregiving, and community life bring us closer together. A virus does not need to be common to be relevant. It only needs the ability to cross boundaries. Learning how Nipah virus was discovered helps explain why doctors continue to study it today. Rare does not mean irrelevant, especially when human and animal contact is part of daily life. I remember a patient who told me she felt calmer once she understood why doctors watch certain illnesses closely. She said knowledge helped her feel prepared instead of startled. That feeling of preparedness is not about expecting illness, it is about emotional safety. It allows the body to relax and the mind to feel steady. Understanding what Nipah virus is and how it first came to light reminds us of something important. Medicine learns quietly over time. It observes, studies, and prepares so that care can be delivered with patience and clarity. For older adults, This kind of understanding supports dignity and confidence. It allows life to continue with calm awareness rather than worry, honoring the body's experience and the wisdom that comes with age. How Nipah virus spreads from animals to humans. When older adults ask me about a virus, the question is rarely just medical. It is personal. Can I still live my normal life? Can I still see my family? Do I need to be afraid of everyday places? Those concerns deserve a calm answer, and the calm answer begins with understanding what transmission really means. Nipah virus is considered a zoonotic virus, which simply means it can pass from animals to humans under certain conditions. In past outbreaks, fruit bats have been identified as a natural host. That does not mean bats are chasing people or that contact is common. It means the virus can be present in bat saliva or waste, and in certain environments, it can contaminate food sources. In some regions, this has included fruit or raw sap collected from trees. When people consume something contaminated, that can become a pathway for infection. Another pathway involves animals that have had contact with that contamination. In some outbreaks, pigs played a role because they became infected and then passed the virus to people through close, prolonged contact. Here is the key point. This is not casual exposure. It typically involves specific circumstances, often tied to farming, handling animals, or living in areas where these conditions exist. One of the most common misconceptions is that a person can catch Nipah virus easily through the air like a cold. That is not how it has behaved in the outbreaks we know about. Nipah virus transmission has most often required close contact, including direct exposure to bodily fluids from an infected person or animal. This is why caregiving environments matter. Caregiving is close. It includes helping someone eat, cleaning up after them, or being near them for long periods when they are ill. I want to emphasize something important for seniors and caregivers. Understanding that transmission requires close contact helps place risk in perspective. It protects emotional safety. It allows you to stop imagining danger everywhere and instead focus on what is actually meaningful, good hygiene, thoughtful caregiving practices, and following public health guidance if an outbreak is present. In my work, I have seen how reassuring it can be when families understand the difference between casual exposure and close contact. It helps people breathe more easily. It helps them keep routines intact. It helps them continue living with confidence rather than pulling away from connection. Learning how Nipah virus spreads is not meant to create worry. It is meant to replace uncertainty with clarity. Clarity allows older adults to feel grounded, caregivers to feel prepared, and families to stay connected with dignity and calm. Why doctors consider Nipah virus dangerous? When doctors describe a virus as dangerous, it is not meant as a warning meant to frighten people. In medicine, the word dangerous usually points to behavior that is difficult to predict and therefore requires careful attention. That is how many physicians think about Nipah virus. One reason doctors take Nipah virus seriously is how unpredictable it can be once a person becomes infected. In past cases, some people experienced mild symptoms at first, while others became seriously ill in a relatively short period of time. That difference matters. Illnesses that do not follow a steady or familiar pattern give both the body and medical teams less time to adjust and respond. Another reason is the speed at which symptoms progressed in certain cases. Some individuals moved from feeling generally unwell to experiencing more severe complications within days. This does not mean that everyone followed the same course. It means doctors learned that waiting too long to evaluate changes could reduce options for supportive care. In medicine, timing often shapes outcomes, especially for older adults whose bodies may need more support during recovery. Nipah virus has also drawn attention because it can affect the brain. For someone like me, who has spent many years caring for patients with memory changes and dementia, anything that involves the nervous system deserves thoughtful respect. The brain supports thinking, balance, and daily independence. When it is affected by infection, recovery may require patience, rest, and careful monitoring. For seniors, This information is not meant to suggest vulnerability or weakness. Aging bodies are experienced bodies. They have adapted through many challenges. At the same time, the immune response may not always move as quickly as it once did. That makes early recognition and calm medical guidance more important, not alarming. I often tell my patients that some illnesses knock quietly, while others arrive more quickly and ask for immediate attention. Doctors study Nipah virus because, in the situations where it has appeared, recognizing changes early allowed care to be more supportive and thoughtful. Understanding why doctors consider Nipah virus dangerous often brings relief rather than worry. It explains the caution without exaggeration. It replaces dramatic headlines with reasoning. When people understand the why, fear tends to soften. The mind feels steadier, and that steadiness supports both emotional safety and physical well-being. In medicine, respect for unpredictability is a form of care. It allows preparation without panic and awareness without anxiety. Early symptoms and why they are often missed. One of the quiet challenges with Nipah virus is that its early symptoms can look very ordinary. At first, a person might feel tired, develop a low fever, notice a headache, or sense a general feeling of being unwell. These are sensations most older adults have experienced many times in life. Because they feel familiar, they are easy to dismiss. In my years of caring for seniors, I have seen how often older adults minimize their own discomfort. Many do this out of kindness. They do not want to worry their spouse. They do not want their children to feel anxious. Some fear losing independence or becoming a burden. So they tell themselves it is just a bad night of sleep, a passing bug, or simply part of getting older. Early symptoms of Nipah virus can also include muscle aches or mild confusion. For seniors, even small changes in thinking or balance can appear during many common illnesses. That makes it harder to recognize when something is different from the usual pattern. The body may be signaling that it needs attention, but the signal is quiet rather than urgent. From a caregiving perspective, this is where gentle awareness becomes important. I often encourage families to notice subtle shifts rather than dramatic signs. A loved one may seem more withdrawn, slower to respond, or less steady on their feet. These changes do not automatically mean something serious, but they do mean the body deserves to be listened to. I remember a patient who delayed seeking care because she did not want to bother anyone. When she finally spoke up, the reassurance she received was just as important as the medical evaluation. Being heard allowed her to relax, and that calm supported her recovery. That experience stayed with me. For older adults, noticing symptoms is not complaining. It is communication. Your body has supported you through many seasons of life. Listening to it with patience and respect is an act of dignity. Early awareness allows care to arrive gently rather than urgently, protecting both physical health and emotional safety. Understanding why symptoms are often missed helps replace self-criticism with compassion. It reminds seniors that paying attention to their bodies is not a burden to others. It is a wise and caring choice that supports independence and peace of mind. How the immune system changes after 60. As we move beyond the age of 60, the immune system continues to do its job, but it does so in a quieter and more measured way. I often remind my patients that this is not a failure of the body. It is a natural shift that comes with experience. The immune system has spent decades learning, adapting, and responding. With time, its responses may become slower, but they are not less meaningful. In simple terms, the immune system works by recognizing something unfamiliar, sending signals, and organizing a response. When we are younger, those signals tend to move quickly. As we age, the communication can take a little longer. This is why infections may feel more draining, and why recovery sometimes requires extra rest and patience. The body is still protecting you, just at a pace that reflects its history. With illnesses like Nipah virus, doctors pay attention to this timing. A slower immune response means the body may need more support early on. This does not mean older adults are fragile. It means thoughtful care and early guidance can help the body do what it already knows how to do. Rest, hydration, proper nutrition, and emotional calm all support immune function in very real ways. I have seen many seniors recover well when they allow themselves the time they need. What often interferes is the pressure to return to normal too quickly. Thoughtful risk management after 60 is not about avoiding life. It is about listening carefully when fatigue lingers or when something feels different from your usual pattern. Stress also plays a quiet role. Ongoing worry can keep the body in a state of alert, which makes it harder for the immune system to focus on healing. Calm routines help counter this. Regular sleep, familiar daily rhythms, and moments of rest allow the immune system to work more efficiently. Understanding how the immune system changes can bring relief. Seniors often stop blaming themselves for slower recovery and begin supporting their bodies with patience and respect. That shift in perspective protects dignity and confidence. Aging reshapes resilience. When older adults understand their immune system, they feel more empowered and less anxious. They learn to work with their bodies rather than against them, creating a steadier path toward health that honors both experience and wisdom. Emotional safety and staying informed. One of the most important parts of health after 60 is emotional safety. Over the years, I have seen how the mind and body respond very differently depending on how information is received. When learning feels rushed or alarming, the body tightens. Sleep becomes lighter. Concentration drifts. When learning happens in a calm and trusted space, the body settles and understanding has room to take root. Many older adults tell me they feel overwhelmed by health news. New terms appear quickly, headlines feel urgent, and unfamiliar topics can create a sense that something is always wrong. That environment does not protect health. It quietly wears it down. The nervous system stays alert when it does not need to be, and that ongoing tension affects memory, mood, and even immune response. Staying informed is important, but how we stay informed matters just as much. Choosing calm guidance allows the mind to remain steady. When information is shared slowly and with care, the body receives it as support rather than threat. This is especially meaningful for seniors, whose bodies already work hard to maintain balance and resilience. In my caregiving experience, I have noticed that patients heal more smoothly when they feel emotionally supported. Understanding reduces stress, and lower stress helps the immune system focus on recovery rather than defense. Emotional safety is not separate from physical health. It is part of it. Trusted spaces also allow questions to surface without embarrassment. Older adults often carry concerns quietly, not wanting to worry others or feel uninformed. When learning feels welcoming, those concerns can be explored gently. That openness protects dignity and confidence. Before we continue, if this video is helping you understand your health, please subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily. It gives us the motivation to create more life-saving content for you. Senior Health Daily was created to be a place where learning feels steady and respectful. A place you can return to when questions arise, knowing you will not be rushed or frightened. Staying connected to a trusted source allows information to become reassurance rather than noise. Emotional safety supports clearer thinking, better rest, and stronger resilience. When seniors feel grounded, they make decisions with confidence instead of urgency. Staying informed within a calm space protects both the mind and the body, allowing health knowledge to serve its true purpose, which is support. That sense of steadiness is something you deserve at every stage of life. Prevention without anxiety. When we talk about prevention, I want to begin by gently easing a common concern I hear from many older adults. Prevention does not mean living in a state of constant alert or watching every interaction with worry. True prevention is quieter than that. It works best when it blends naturally into daily life and supports calm rather than tension. Good hygiene has protected human health for generations. Simple habits like washing hands regularly, keeping food preparation areas clean, and being mindful when someone around you is unwell are still some of the most reliable tools we have. These practices do not require fear to be effective. They work because they are steady and familiar, not because they are extreme. Routine plays an important role here. The body responds well to predictability. Regular sleep, nourishing meals, gentle movement, and time for rest give the immune system a stable foundation. When routines are consistent, the body feels safer, and that sense of safety allows it to respond more effectively to challenges. I have seen many seniors remain remarkably resilient simply by maintaining their daily rhythms, even during uncertain times. Hypervigilance can quietly undermine health. Constantly scanning the body for symptoms or worrying about every possible exposure keeps the nervous system in a state of tension. Over time, that tension affects sleep, memory, and emotional balance. Prevention rooted in anxiety often costs more energy than it saves. Prevention rooted in calm preserves strength. Listening to public health guidance is also part of balanced prevention. Guidance is meant to help people make informed choices, not to overwhelm them. I often encourage patients to choose one or two trusted sources and let go of the rest. Too much information can cloud judgment and increase stress. Clear, measured guidance supports confidence. In caregiving environments, balance matters even more. Care involves closeness, and closeness deserves thoughtful care, not fear. Following basic precautions when someone is ill, staying attentive to changes, and communicating openly with healthcare providers are forms of prevention that protect both dignity and connection. I have watched older adults thrive when they focus on what they can reasonably control and release what they cannot. They wash their hands, keep their routines, rest when needed, and stay connected to people they trust. They do not shrink their lives out of worry. They protect them through steadiness. Prevention without anxiety allows room for joy, conversation, and purpose. It supports emotional safety while honoring the body's wisdom. When hygiene, routine, and balance work together, they quietly protect health and allow aging to continue with confidence and grace. A caregiving perspective for families. Caregiving often begins with love and concern. An adult child notices a small change in a parent and wants to help. At first, it may be a reminder about medication, a ride to an appointment, or a check-in call at the end of the day. Over time, those gestures can grow into a deeper role, and with that role come questions about how to protect health without taking away dignity. In my years working with families, I have seen that caregiving works best when it is built on partnership. Older adults do not stop being capable decision-makers simply because they need support. They carry a lifetime of experience, values, and preferences. When caregivers include parents in conversations rather than speaking for them, trust grows and anxiety softens. Many adult children feel a strong responsibility to shield their parents from risk. That instinct comes from love, but it can sometimes lead to doing too much or worrying too far ahead. I gently remind families that protection does not require control. It requires listening, asking how a parent feels, what they notice in their body, and what kind of help feels supportive, preserves independence while still offering care. Caregiving environments involve closeness, and closeness deserves thoughtful attention. Simple routines, shared understanding, and clear communication help everyone feel steadier. When families learn together about health topics, worry becomes shared awareness rather than silent stress. This shared learning often brings relief to both generations. I remember a family who struggled to find this balance. The children were anxious about missing something important, while their mother felt overwhelmed by constant checking. When they began talking openly and learning together, the atmosphere changed. She felt respected. They felt calmer. Care became something they shared rather than something imposed. Caregivers also need care. Emotional exhaustion can cloud judgment and strain relationships. Taking breaks, asking for support, and acknowledging limits are not signs of failure. They are signs of wisdom. When caregivers care for themselves, they show up with more patience and clarity. At its best, caregiving is an expression of partnership. It honors the past while supporting the present. It protects dignity while offering safety. When families approach health with calm understanding and mutual respect, they create an environment where everyone feels heard, valued, and more at ease. Why emerging viruses feel scarier than familiar illnesses. There is something about a new or unfamiliar illness that can feel unsettling, even when the actual risk is low. I have seen this many times in my work with older adults. People who manage long-term conditions with confidence can suddenly feel anxious when they hear the name of a virus they do not recognize. That reaction is very human, and it deserves kindness rather than self-criticism. The mind finds comfort in familiarity. When we know an illness, we often know what it feels like, how recovery usually goes, and what helps. An emerging virus does not come with those personal memories. There is no lived experience to lean on. The brain tries to fill that gap, and uncertainty can quickly turn into worry. This does not mean something bad is happening. It means the mind is looking for reassurance. For seniors, unfamiliar health news can touch deeper concerns. People think about memory, balance, independence, and the ability to care for themselves and others. An unknown illness can feel like a threat to stability rather than simply a medical topic. That emotional response is not weakness. It is the mind trying to protect what matters most. What I have learned over the years is that anxiety often softens when understanding begins. When people learn how an illness spreads, who is most affected, and what doctors actually watch for, the unknown becomes manageable. Understanding gives the mind something solid to hold on to. It replaces imagined scenarios with real information that can be calmly considered. Control does not come from eliminating all risk. That is not possible at any age. Control comes from knowing how to respond if a concern arises. It comes from recognizing when something is different from your usual pattern and knowing where to turn for guidance. That sense of preparedness allows the nervous system to relax. Breathing slows, sleep improves, thinking becomes clearer. These changes support both emotional and physical health. I often tell my patients that feeling anxious does not mean you are failing to cope. It means your mind is asking for clarity. Offering that clarity through gentle learning is one of the most effective ways to restore calm. Over time, understanding turns fear into awareness, and awareness allows life to continue without shrinking around worry. Emerging viruses feel scarier because they are unfamiliar, not because they are everywhere. When knowledge replaces uncertainty, confidence returns. That confidence supports dignity, preserves routine, and helps older adults stay engaged with life. Understanding becomes a quiet form of control, one that protects peace of mind while honoring the wisdom that comes with age. What truly protects health? Long-term. After many years of caring for older adults, I have learned that lasting health is rarely shaped by one single event. It is shaped by what we return to each day. What truly protects health over time is not constant alertness or chasing every new concern, but the steady presence of routine, emotional calm, patience, and connection. Routine gives the body a sense of safety. Waking at a similar time, eating nourishing meals, moving gently, and allowing space for rest create a rhythm the body understands. The immune system responds well to predictability. When daily life follows a familiar pattern, stress settles, sleep improves, and energy becomes easier to manage. These changes may feel quiet, but over time, they strengthen resilience in meaningful ways. Emotional calm is just as important as physical care. I have seen patients recover more smoothly when they felt reassured and supported. Calm does not mean ignoring health concerns. It means approaching them without urgency. When the mind is steady, the body can focus on repair rather than remaining in a state of tension. This balance supports memory, mood, and overall well-being. Patience is another powerful protector. Aging often asks us to slow down, even when we would prefer not to. Recovery may take longer, strength may return gradually. Accepting this without self-judgment preserves dignity and prevents unnecessary strain. The body heals best when it is allowed to move at its own pace. Connection may be the most overlooked protector of all. Staying connected to family, friends, caregivers, and trusted sources of information supports emotional and cognitive health. Conversation keeps the mind engaged. Shared routines bring comfort. Feeling understood reduces isolation, which can quietly weaken resilience over time. Health is not about controlling every outcome. It is about building a life that supports you even when uncertainty appears. When routine, calm, patience, and connection are present, challenges feel more manageable and less overwhelming. As you continue caring for your health, remember that you do not have to do it alone. Senior Health Daily is here as a steady place you can return to for calm guidance and reassurance. Staying connected allows learning to feel supportive rather than overwhelming, helping you move forward with confidence, dignity, and care. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want to slow our pace together for just a moment. Learning how Nipah virus spreads does not mean that danger is close. It does not mean you should feel on edge or worried about your daily life. It simply means you chose awareness instead of avoidance. You chose to understand rather than turn away, and that choice reflects care, wisdom, and self-respect. After decades of caring for older adults, I have developed a deep gratitude for the resilience of the human body. Your body has carried you through many chapters of life. It has adapted, healed, and continued forward even when circumstances were uncertain. With age comes a kind of quiet wisdom, the understanding that patience often serves us better than urgency. The body may ask for more gentleness now, but it still knows how to protect itself when given the right support. Dignity matters at every stage of life, so does calm awareness. These are powerful forms of protection. Health is not about controlling every possible outcome or living in constant watchfulness. It is about staying informed, staying connected, and responding thoughtfully when questions arise. When knowledge is held gently, it brings steadiness rather than fear. I want you to remember that you do not need to carry health concerns alone. When news feels overwhelming or confusing, it helps to have a steady place to return to. Senior Health Daily exists for that reason. Not to pressure you, not to alarm you, but to offer calm guidance, reassurance, and a sense of continuity. Thank you for spending this time with me. Wherever you are on your health journey, you are not behind. You are learning, adapting, and honoring your body with patience and care. I hope you will continue to stay connected with Senior Health Daily and move forward with quiet confidence, trust, and dignity.